What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Joe Vore Podcast, JV Podcast Network. We are back after a bit of a hiatus, a little vacation. Producer Snowman is back, and we have Andrew Leezus on. You may not know that name, but you probably saw his tweet. So welcome, Andrew. Thank you for doing this. He's a diehard Suns fan, D-backs fan, Packers fan, which we're gonna find out about that. He's the host. Are you the host? Did I see? It's the Every Sunday podcast. Is that right?
It's the Every Day is Sunday podcast. Yeah.
Every Day is Sunday podcast. That's awesome. So that's all Suns basketball related, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Awesome. Where can everyone find it? We're gonna do a little plug.
It's on Apple. It's on SoundCloud. We're gonna get on Spotify soon. Yeah.
Nice. So pretty much everywhere you can get podcasts. Yeah. So perfect. So let's start. I'm going to pull up the screenshot here of the tweet. We're going to start with the tweet that made you crazy viral famous here. So you tweeted with the NBA coming back.
Yeah.
You tweeted right here. Screenshot this. If Deandre Ayton makes a three-pointer in Orlando, I'll get a Diamond Ayton. A little play, very punny there. Very good. Face that. No cap. And he comes out, bangs a three.
Right.
And what those things do, like my good friend who I went to ASU with said, when ASU played Kansas, I believe it was the second year when the game was in Tempe in Arizona State. He said he would get Bobby effing Hurley tattooed on his ass if ASU won. Crazy comeback win. And Bobby, like it happened, and Bobby Hurley was like, yeah, don't do that. But he was like, can I get the pitchfork? He's like, yes, get the pitchfork. So they made a whole big deal. That's the power of social media. People that are just regular users on Twitter can tweet things like that. Boom, ASU beats Kansas. Deandre Ayton bangs the three in the bubble.
Yeah.
And now you're like you're a local hero. You're a celebrity. Like, take us through this like whirlwind. Like I imagine you just were like, yeah, this would be kind of funny to tweet, and then all of a sudden it went nuts. Like you would never.
It's kind of like an inside joke in terms of like between like Suns Twitter, like Deandre Ayton not shooting threes because, for 2 years he's been, I love him, but he tends to talk a bigger game than like what happens. He's a little overconfident, and we've been hearing this about him shooting threes for a while now, pretty much since he got into the league. Hasn't really done. He's taken about less than like 4, I think, in his career, and 3 of those are probably like at the shot clock buzzer. So. It was mostly a joke. I was just messing around. It was like I tweet stuff like that all the time. Like I got interviewed and I say I tweet stuff and then I deal with the repercussions later, which is not the smartest thing to do, but it's kind of how I am. And I don't know. I didn't expect it to take off the way that it did, but it went crazy.
That's so insane. Of course, he comes out there in that first game and does it, and so many things have happened since. We're going to get into that. But I want to start with Deandre Ayton blocked you on Twitter. Now, what's up with that?
I don't – because, me and him are cool. We've talked in the past. Like, we're cool. Like, we play video games. Like, I went into his Twitch stream the other day. He's like, oh, Andrew Lee's like we're cool. But I think he doesn't run his Twitter account. Like, so I think probably, like, one of the managers of the account probably saw it, and – when Bleacher Report first tweeted me out, like they took it as me like trolling, or they called me like a Suns troll. Like I don't know, maybe they took it as me, disrespecting DeAndre. Which if you follow me, like you see, I tweet about DeAndre, and I have like high expectations for the guy. I think like he's going to be a great player. So it wasn't meant in that way, but maybe the publicist or whatever, they decided they wanted to block me. It was just crazy. Like I didn't expect it.
Yeah. Hopefully DeAndre Ayton doesn't become the next Ben Roethlisberger where someone else runs his account and everyone's blocked by Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, Big Ben has me blocked too. He's blocked the whole world.
He has everyone blocked. I think Ben Roethlisberger's managers are basically like the people that are like behind Siri and Apple and Instagram ads. Like you just say his name.
You just blocked it.
You get blocked. Or it's like you mention one product and all of a sudden their ads are all over your Instagram.
Yeah.
I think that's how it goes. Yeah, but someone, the intern or whoever blocked you, obviously didn't do their homework. They didn't know your intent behind it.
Yeah, I guess also when you see like Bleacher Report call me a troll, like it makes it seem as if like there's some people who like. I love the Suns with like everything I got. Like I have so much love for the Suns, for Phoenix. Like I grew up a Suns fan. I grew up in Phoenix, so it's like it wasn't meant in that way. I don't know. but it was taken, I guess, the wrong way, obviously, by them, and they decided they wanted to block me. But I mean, he actually has had me blocked before, like,
Huh.
yeah, and I mean, I'm friends with his brother too. Like, his brother still follows me and all that. So I talked to his brother once. I'm like, why do you block me? He's like, oh, I don't like. He doesn't run his Twitter account and all that. I guess I don't know. They're just. I guess the people who run his account are soft or whatever.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Or, here's a spin zone kind of going off of something else that you tweeted. I think everyone is so like media savvy now, and they have all these teams and production companies and all these things. You tweeted, hey, now that I pushed Deandre Ayton to shoot threes, you guys can thank me after his Hall of Fame career because now he's going to be a three-point shooter. Maybe this is just Deandre Ayton's team setting up a storyline. Like, this is going to be the beginning of his documentary.
Okay.
You tweet, he bangs the three, he blocks you, and then while he's up on the stage in Springfield, Massachusetts getting his speech, he unblocks you on the stage after a Hall of Fame career. Boom, that's how the documentary wraps up.
Yeah, he goes down as one of the greatest three-point shooting centers of all time, and he said that, I'd like to thank Andrew Leezus for giving me the inspiration and the motivation to become one of the best three-point shooters in the league. I'm down for that spin zone.
Yeah, no, so yeah, and because we spoke it into existence, we just all of us now together, like you were going to be in it anyways, but now the Snowman and I have made our way into this. Like, we are now in his documentary that he's going to put out.
Oh, of course. Yeah, we have to be.
We're in the process of trying to get in as many documentaries.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's definitely a good idea.
Just want to be in it. We want documentary guys. Big documentary guys.
Yeah,
big documentary guys.
So, yeah, I love that. So you kind of mentioned playing video games with these guys. You were doing a Twitch stream, or you were in their Twitch stream the other day. So who were you playing with? Like, do you normally play with these guys? Like, did it kind of all spark because of the tweet? Like, how did all this happen?
No, about a year, like probably like 15, 16 months ago, I made a Devin Booker edit and I put it on Twitch. It was just like a highlight reel of him against the Warriors. I played it to "Don't Stop Me Now" by Queen in the background, and it kind of like blew up a little bit. He saw it. He thought it was funny. He retweeted and all that. And then his brother started reaching out to me after that, and we kind of became close. And then, I kind of became close with Devin, and it's a friendship now, which is, it's weird to say because, I was at 17, 18, 19 years old looking up to this guy. And I mean, I still have so much respect for him, but yeah, I was streaming on Twitch the other day, and it was after everything had went viral. I was just streaming, and then I was about to end my stream, but I was like, I was in Discord and I saw they were on. I'm like, I just hit them up like, yo, you guys trying to play some Warzone right now? Maybe get this podcast in at the same time. And they're like, yeah, I'm down. And it was him, Mikhail Bridges, who also plays for the Suns, and Davon Wade, which is Booker's brother.
That's awesome. And I love, like, that's the, like, social media, like, creates so much, like, craziness, and there's so much, like, negative stuff that can come from it. But like that's just so, that's the good part of it. Like, video games, as crazy as they are, they kind of like bring people together, and like, you are just like, when we're just like any of them, like if you just Warzone and you guys just hang out and play video games, then you jump on a podcast. Like, none of us have, a Joe Rogan, Pardon My Take, Bill Simmons, Ryan Russillo, like, type level podcast.
Right.
But, like, if you can just kind of connect on that level, and it's so funny when we say we look up to these guys, like, I'm 22, the Snowman here is 21, like, we're all younger, and these guys are pretty much the same age.
Our age.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I remember I live in Arizona now, but as you can see the jerseys behind the Snowman there, we're from Ohio. We're huge Mavs fans.
Yeah.
And a couple of years ago, I was at when LeBron was still here, when there's Eastern Conference Finals, Game 6 against Jason Tatum, and he was like barking at the ref or whatever. I'm like, quit your whining, shut the hell up.
Yeah.
I had to sit down. I'm like, this man is like, I am older than this guy, and I'm a millionaire.
2 years older.
He's out there running around trying to guard LeBron James, and I'm some punk ass kid that just like all this money going to this game. Like, this guy, like, I had like one of those moments, like, where we're that old, like, we're super young, but we're old enough to be the same age or older than some of these guys that are doing like something on a level.
Crazy
I look at guys who are playing like D1, like Ohio State football, or whatever, and I'm like, man, that dude, like, we're the same age, but there's just something about it that just makes them seem like they're older than me. And it's the same way in the NBA. Like, Zion's like 19, 20. And like we're all older than him. I don't know how old you are, but me and Joe are older than all these guys and out there making millions playing frickin' in the NBA or in the NFL. It's
Yeah, that's what
crazy.
I was telling Devin. I was like, man, you being 23 years old, I'm 22. Like, you being 23 years old
Right.
makes me feel a little bit bad about myself. Like, you're hanging out with Drake, signed a $150
Yeah.
million deal. I'm like, man, you're only a year older than me.
Yeah.
That's so
Oh, yeah.
It's so crazy to think about. But social media does a lot of bad things, but it's great because it does bring us together in those ways, and it can really connect people. And I always just love that, when people, or sometimes it ends up randomly, you end up in these different, like, playing video games. I remember listening to an old interview with John Heater, who played Napoleon Dynamite, and he was on like
Great
one of the
movie.
late night shows, and he was talking about playing Call of Duty or whatever, and the guys on there were like, "Yo, man, you sound just like Napoleon Dynamite." He's like, and I was
Yeah.
like, no way! Like, how crazy! Like, whether it's you playing with them on purpose or you just end up in these random rooms and you're playing with them and you hear these guys on the mic or whatever. It's just, it's just so cool. It's just so it's just so amazing just how, like, accessible, like, these people are, and how, cool and, like, down to earth. And I feel like celebrities like, they have the opportunity to be way more relatable and way more connected than ever before, which makes it really cool for these guys who are trying to build a brand and trying to, build themselves up, off the court, and things like that.
Yeah, I think that's why I've been able to, like, build friendships with these guys. Like, I make music sometimes too, and I made a song I just called it Kelly Oubre last year, and he retweeted it and he followed me and he showed me love, and, like, now me and him are connected. He retweets my stuff all the time, and I show him love, and it's just I think, especially with the Suns, like, they're such a young team, and, like, Booker's 23, Bridges is 22, Kelly's 24, Ayton's 22, I'm 22, like, so that's why, like, I get in there. I don't, the first time I got in there, I was like, oh my God, this is like Devin Booker. This is, oh my God, like, it's crazy. And, like, now that I've known them for a while, like, when I did the podcast and I was streaming, at that point, it's just like, all right, these are just your boys. You're just playing video games. You're chilling out. And that's why, the podcast was fun because, it was a different kind of dynamic. It wasn't so much in a structured situation. It was, we're playing Warzone, and I was asking him questions in the middle of looting in the game, and we had to trim a lot of the podcast. A lot of it was, all of us cussing at a team or fighting a team. So but it was interesting because it showed a side that you don't really see a lot with Devin and Bridges, because all their interviews are by, they're very, I don't know, but they're very, they're very scripted. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And this one was just, it was all freestyled. But it was fun. They showed, like, their personality. They were having fun, and I think a lot of people enjoyed it because of them.
Yeah, for sure. And I remember another story, just with people being relatable and around the same age. I remember LeBron talking about when he knew, like, he started getting old. Like, he was talking about how he had some of the younger guys, like, over to his house this past summer, and he mentioned Darius Garland, who's with the Cavs now, and he was like more so, like, relating to Bronny, like, his kids, because, like, they were closer in age than him and LeBron are, even though they're sort of peers.
Garland,
LeBron's on a way higher level, but they're both playing in the NBA, but still at the same time, him and Bronny have more similar experiences growing up with just the age than the generation that they are than Darius Garland and LeBron, which is just, like, so crazy to think about. Like,
there's a 3-year gap between Garland and Bronny, and there's 35. What's LeBron's 34, 35, and Garland's 18. A 15-year gap between those guys. Like, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Right, like Andrew, like Devin Booker and some of these guys probably, could have more in common on some sort of levels than, like, when, like, Tyson Chandler was on the team, like an older guy like that. Yeah. Like, and it's so crazy, but it's true, and that's evident.
We all grew up doing the same thing. We all grew up, we all played sports. We're all very competitive. We all played video games. We all like the same artists, like, it's just, we just have a lot of in common. That's why it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel awkward. It doesn't feel like, oh, like, at least I don't feel like, oh my God, this guy's, like, above me, or, like, and he doesn't feel like, oh, this guy's below me. Like, it just feels like, all right, you're just playing with your boys, and it's just, it's cool. Like you did say, there's a lot of cool things with social media. Like, that would have never happened. Like, even, like, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and now it's just, it happened, and it's like, right now it's like a dream come true for me. Like, I wanted this when I was a kid. I wanted to, interview my favorite players, talk to my favorite players, and now it's becoming like a reality, and it's very surreal.
Absolutely. I want to talk about some of your other tweets now. Then I want to get into some of your Suns fandom because I love that stuff because we're huge Cavs fans. So you tweeted, so Mikhail Bridges, you were drawing comparisons to Scottie Pippen. Now, I want you to explain this, but at the same time, I understand because I build those things up in my head. I probably would have said the same thing about Larry Hughes in modern day. So
yeah,
and I want you to explain. I want you to explain this.
A lot of my tweets are, they're not to be taken too seriously. I just have fun with it. Like I'm a Suns fan, obviously, so I've seen a lot of players. Seen Dragan Bender, and I've had these old tweets where it's it's mostly jokes, and then people like find them later and they think like I was serious. Like remember last year, Dragan Bender's last game, we played the Suns played the Mavericks. And I was like, wow, the new Dirk Nowitzki's entering the league as the older one's leaving it. And then, this year it got retweeted. People like, oh, he thought Bender was going to be Dirk Nowitzki. And it was like, yeah, have fun with it. But no, seriously, like Bridges is a great defender, and he can do a lot of the same things like Pippen did. Obviously, I'm not saying he's going to be a top 50 player of all time, but it's just, it's fun stuff with the fan base, and they like it, and it gets them riled up, and it's mostly for fun. But I do think, a lot of Mikhail Bridges, he's going to be a good player for a lot of years.
Fair. No, that's the perfect explanation, and we relate to that too, because every sort of demographic of sports fans, it's not even like, within cities, there's Suns Twitter and there's D-backs Twitter and there's Cardinals Twitter, right? Like we have the same people, we have the same cast of characters here with like Cleveland Twitter.
Are you guys all like Cleveland, like everything Cleveland? Like
yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so you guys can kind of relate to like the even more the misery of being an Arizona sports fan. The Suns, they have like the 5th highest winning percentage ever, and they never got a ring, and they got cheated out of the finals. And I mean, you guys, I don't have to even take you guys through it.
We have like, and it's so funny when those tweets get outside of the people that the audience that they were intended for, because then that's when it gets all messed up. Like we have a guy who his name is McNeil on Twitter. Like his username is golfer spelled backwards. It's like reflog. And he just has a ton of followers. He's the one that orchestrated and set up the 0-16 Browns parade, if you remember that. Where they, had like a big parade around the stadium, and they raised a bunch got a bunch of food donated to the Cleveland Food Bank, which was actually really good. But, they always tweet out photos of like if there's going to be like just to get people riled up, if there's like a Trump rally or if there's like other celebrations during the coronavirus, they would always like tweet screenshots from the Cavs championship parade. And
I saw that. Yes. I actually tweeted something like that because I was like,
they're like, people aren't social distancing. There's no mask.
Yeah.
It's like
I'm like, was it the tweet that was like it was like, look at how they're coming together to protest COVID-19, and it's just like everybody. I saw that. That was funny. That was actually funny. That's what I thought it was.
And then it's so funny. It's like you do realize, like, and there's people that are in Cleveland but are outside. That they live in Cleveland, but they're outside of Cleveland sports Twitter, so they don't get it. I'm like, use your common sense. This is tweeted in March. Does what Cleveland looks like in June, the trees, the sun, the everything, does it look like what it does in March? We're still getting snowstorms in March. Everything is still dead in March. Like, use your common sense. Like the fact that, like, or look at the weather. Like this was downtown.
People are out there in t-shirts and shorts.
Yeah, it was like I was there. It was like 95 degrees. Like it's like look at today. Like it's not like this was a picture from the other day. Like this is today. Like don't you like it looked like Gotham City today. Like what point of the day was sunshine and 95 degrees? And just the fact that people get so triggered and they just don't use any sort of critical thinking skills. But that's like the beauty of it, because the people who are on the inside get it. And then when it gets to the outside, it just creates comedy that you just cannot write. Awesome. And it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, especially with like our, your guys' fan base, Cleveland, it's Cleveland's a big city, but it's, a smaller market, and like kind of like Phoenix. Phoenix is a really big city, but on the national scale, nobody cares about Phoenix. Nobody cares about Cleveland in that sense, really. So it's like you have these jokes and these inside jokes, and then they get out to people in LA and New York, and they're like what's going on?
Yeah. So I want to get into kind of our similar fandoms here, because I remember I would always love, because obviously, both times around, but specifically that first LeBron run, right there, kind of through the mid 2010s, what you would call it there. The Suns and the Cavs had pretty exciting teams, and it was always fun to see, Cleveland would play like the TNT doubleheader, right? The first game would be Cleveland and someone, and then there would always be awesome, like I remember staying up late, like the games would start at 11 o'clock out here. And I always loved seeing the intro, like the sun setting on that beautiful front face of, it was back then it was US Airways. It was just so pretty, and I loved it. And, there would always be these great regular season battles, Suns and Mavericks and Suns and Spurs and all these great games. Talk about what it was just like being a Suns fan during that time, because we felt it too, because even I think you guys had a better team. Now, obviously, we had LeBron, and the Cavs were able to make it to a finals. But, just the Suns being so close and running into those Spurs teams and those Mavericks,
it was just
not being able to get past them.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate because a lot of people would agree that Suns team under D'Antoni, they kind of changed the way basketball was played. Like, it was always said you needed a true power forward, you needed a 6'11" power forward, you needed a big back down center who could play defense. And then if you kind of look at the Warriors' initial run, it's kind of similar to the way their teams were built. And Steve Kerr was the GM for the Suns, and then he became the coach for the Warriors. There was a lot of similarities, and they did change a lot for basketball in terms of we're just gonna shoot threes, we're gonna try to outrun you, we're not gonna focus on posting up. But I mean, growing up with that team, it's really what made me love basketball, with Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire and Sean Marion, and it was really fun basketball to watch. It was entertaining. It was always high scoring, and I mean, it was unfortunate that they played in an era with, against Tim Duncan and Popovich, and then Dirk Nowitzki, and even like they played against Kobe, and they beat Kobe because Kobe didn't have a good supporting cast. But even then, like, speaking of the Cavs getting to the finals, that's 2007. That's the year that everybody in Phoenix thought, like, we knew it was ours. We knew the championship was ours. Like, we knew this was finally going to be the year to get there. We knew LeBron was going to get there, but we knew LeBron didn't have the supporting cast to win it. And that's when they got to the conference finals against the Spurs, and obviously the whole situation where the bench is cleared and they suspended Amari, and it was a whole lot of BS. And that was kind of like our last, I wouldn't say real chance, because we got to Game 6 of 2010 Western Conference Finals in 2010, but it felt like that was our year, and it kind of felt like it was taken away with us, especially with Tim Donaghy and everything he was part of the officials, and it was really frustrating because the Suns felt like the best team in basketball that year, and it just felt like it was taken away.
Yeah, I remember watching those Suns teams, and you're right. I mean, really, they were that team that was kind of the blueprint that kind of set up the next generation of basketball. Like a lot of guys were positionless, like obviously handling the ball, but there was a very free-flowing offense, because during that time, most teams, like the Cavs were able to get to the finals, not only because LeBron was great, but that was just the era of basketball where like one guy and, just kind of really just kind of a ragtag supporting cast. Like, it was all isolation basketball, and a lot of guys scored a lot of points. Teams didn't score a lot of points, but individuals scored a lot of points, and it was just a ton of isolation basketball. And really, the Suns were kind of that, they were the outlier. It was different.
Right.
Do you think it was mainly, so like you mentioned, obviously those Spurs and Mavericks teams were great, like they would always say, that couldn't win. And now the Warriors, they kind of stepped it up a notch. And obviously, as great as Steve was, the rate at which the Warriors, Steph and Clay, and then obviously when Durant came with all the 3-pointers that they shot, it was just a whole nother level. But, do you think it was a more so of who the opponents were, or do you think the league, it just still wasn't ready, that style of play, to be able to take it to the next level and win a championship?
I think D'Antoni and Nash have talked about it too, is that, they kind of wish they would have doubled down. Like, Nash wishes he would have shot more. Like, he was a 50, 40, 90 guy for several years, like in a row, but he was only averaging 18 points because, he was a true point guard. And, now he said he if he could take it back, he would shoot a lot more. He'd be a lot more aggressive, kind of like Steph and like Trae Young, how you see now today. And D'Antoni says, he wishes he had doubled down. Like, they traded Sean Marion for Shaq because they figured that's what they needed to put him over the top. And, they traded Sean Marion. Sean Marion a few years later went on to win a ring with the Mavs, and he was, one of the main defenders on LeBron, who made it so difficult on that series. So, and, that was within the same years that the Suns got back to the Western Conference Finals. So, you just wonder if they had stuck with it, like he said, double down, had the guts to do it, if they could have finally gotten over the hump.
Right. Yeah. Because I haven't looked at the numbers in forever, but I'm guessing, at the time they were really fast and they shot a lot of threes. But I imagine, especially today's basketball compared, they would probably be what? Like it wouldn't be anything like their numbers.
No,
now,
I think yeah, that team, like the 7 seconds or less Suns, I think, like I saw something, they'd be like 22nd in pace, like in today's game. So but it was at the time, it was like something people had never seen before. It was like the UNLV, like in the 80s, like that's the 90s, like that type of basketball, and they brought it to the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, and I love hearing about Bill Simmons has done some really good interviews with Nash. I don't know if you've ever listened to those, but they're really interesting to listen to.
Yeah.
And I love when they talk about what year was it where the Suns finally got past the Spurs, and they just talked about the emotion that.
Yeah,
Nash, that felt like a championship to him.
It did. That was 2010. It was the second round, and we went into that series. The Spurs, it just kind of felt like, oh, here we go again. And the thing was that we swept them. First 2 games were in Phoenix. They went crazy. Game 3 was in San Antonio. Goran Dragic, then he was he turned himself into a really good player. But at the time, he was like he was just this bench guy who was kind of like, if he's confident, he does all right. But if he's not, he's not in it. And he had a 24-point third quarter, and we won Game 3. And then the Game 4, Steve Nash had a bloody eye again. But he came back, and we won the game, and we swept the Spurs. And it's just funny because at that point to us, it felt like, all right, we conquered the Giant. We slayed the Dragon. The Spurs dynasty is done, which obviously wasn't true because they got back to 2 more finals, and they won another one. But, I mean, that was as rewarding of a series as I've ever watched, honestly.
Yeah, that's how we felt. I don't know about you, Snowman. We were pretty young, but still we felt it. I mean, when Cleveland, even though it was just the year before, that first year they went to the playoffs with LeBron, and they had Detroit down 3-2, 6 in Cleveland. And it was so close. I mean, they were a foul shot away from tying the game, and then the foul shot almost got tipped in, and then they went to a Game 7, and Detroit was just, they were just ended up being too much. But the next year, Cleveland gets them. They go down 2-0 again, then rip off 4 straight. And even though, it was weird in a way because, like how, I imagine you probably would have felt, if the Suns went to the finals. It's like, okay, we finally got here. We know what it feels like to get here. We know what it takes to get here. And, when we were looking back at it as Cavs fans, and when I look back at it now, when that happened, it was like, okay, like obviously, like we got swept. No big deal. Like what were we really expected?
Play with house money. Yeah.
But now, there's no reason the Cavs shouldn't, like, we have LeBron, and he's shown, whoever, if they can put just one more guy around him. I mean, look what he did with, nothing. Like, I know how you talked about, the Suns, if they got to the finals that year, that was the championship. I don't know if you realize that how, the production that Scott Pollard and David Wesley could give LeBron James, but but you're right. But it felt like, it's like, okay, this is just, the Cavs are just going to be playing for the finals every year. And obviously when he came back the second time, it was a different animal, and it was a much better team. It was an actual team. But that was just such an interesting time. And, it was just so weird because it's been such a long time. We're spoiled Cavs fans now because those 4 years were, you can't ask for anything more. The only thing you could have asked for was, 3 more championships, but that 1 championship counts for infinity. Like if that's all I ever see, like that's good by me, just because of the way that it was, who it was against, and all of that stuff. But God, what I'm trying to get out is just that feeling of, you're just running into that wall. That's how I felt, with the Cavs in 2008. Like, God, they were so close to beating that Celtics team that was so much better than the Cavs, that big 3. And then the next year, it was like, God, that was the year. They won 66 games in freaking Orlando, and Hedo Turkoglu, it was, like Hedo Turkoglu, Sean Livingston, and Leandro Barbosa. I don't think in postseason play missed one. Like they shot over 100% against the Cavs. Like I don't think they missed a shot, and then they gave them some extra ones on top. Like those guys never missed anything. Then the next year it was the Boston thing, and LeBron got the elbow thing, and obviously the whole free agency was weighing in on him. And I imagine you felt a lot of that same stuff as a Suns fan. It was like, if I have to hear Tim Duncan's name one more time, like Tony Parker's name, like get that.
Yeah, like Tim Duncan, like
God,
us being,
those
the Suns being up
go.
3.
Headaches.
Yeah, Suns being up 3 points in San Antonio, and Tim Duncan making a 3, like it was just like really, or Amari getting suspended, or it was just. And then I guess the last, after 07, which was our real chance, they made the playoffs again. Then they missed the playoffs for a year, and then they reloaded, and then they beat the Blazers, and then, like I said, they swept the Spurs, and then they had the Lakers. And this is the team that they always beat, but they were trying to get that ring again. Kobe was trying to get his first ring since Shaq left, and they had Powell and Odom, and they had a good bench. They had Ariza, and so they were a loaded team. Suns went down 2-0. You're like, okay, they're supposed to win the games in LA. Suns come back 2-2. So then Game 5 in LA, the Suns are down big. They make a huge comeback with 5 seconds left. Jason Richardson banks in a 3. He ties the game. So they're tied 5-5. The Suns take this to overtime. They have the momentum. They probably win the game. Kobe airballs a 3, which is the one guy you wouldn't want shooting the ball, but he airballs it. Out of nowhere comes Ron Artest, just tips it in. They win the game. Suns go down, and it feels already like the series is over. So and that felt like the last true chance that the team had. I mean, being Arizona fans and like Ohio sports fans, I think a lot of that comes from us already having that kind of like, all right, good things can't happen to our team. So like, I think that's why when anything like good happens, we get so excited because we just don't expect it. Like for me, one of my favorite prospects, probably my favorite prospect of all time is Luka Doncic. And the whole season I was like, please let the Suns get him. Please let him fall to the Suns. And then the Suns won the lottery. I was like, no, I literally shed tears. And I called my friend. I'm like, we're going to get Luka. And it was like, I was so excited because, we had hired his coach from Slovenia. So it looked like it was going to be a match. And then, just being an Arizona sports fan, it didn't happen that way. And Deandre is great, but like, Luka is generational. He's going to be one of the best players of all time. And it just always feels like something has to go wrong.
Yeah. So what do you think the Suns need? What has to happen with the Suns to be like a team that's actually going to like compete, is going to be, in there in the mix for the playoffs? Because they got off to, an exciting start this year, especially compared to what it's been. And, I graduated from ASU, so being out there, obviously I followed the Cavs. They're my team, but, I followed the Suns too. They're right there. And, what do you think the Suns need? Because, they took a step in the right direction. Like they have, Rubio is a legit point guard.
Yeah.
And, when you just need a guy that to kind of facilitate and, work with DeAndre and work with, Booker, he's definitely serviceable. But, the Suns still aren't a finished product in terms of being in the mix just to be like a solid playoff team.
Yeah, if they want to, become a championship level team, they're going to need one more guy. They're going to need a free agent that finds Phoenix attractive, or get lucky in the lottery and hope that somebody, this year or next year that is that guy that can be the true second scorer next to Booker. But in terms of them being a good playoff team, a lot of it I think is just experience. Like DeAndre's a young player; he's in the second season. Booker, he's been in a lot of seasons, but he's a young player. And this season, even when the Suns got off to a good start, they didn't have a really deep bench. There was a lot of young players still. And, Ayton getting suspended 25 games and then missing another, 15 to injury. And then Kelly Oubre having injuries. And Aaron Baines, who got off to a crazy start. It was a bit of bad luck. But I honestly thought if Ayton stayed healthy and didn't get suspended and then the other injuries didn't happen either, I felt like the Suns could have easily been an 8 seed this year. But honestly, I think a lot of his experience, and that's why I think these last 8 games in Orlando are huge because they're still competitive games and you're playing for something. So if you can win some games, build some momentum to next year, I think it'd be huge.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. Because we're in the, we can't complain being Cavs fans. We have our championship, like LeBron came back, like it was insane. But we're in the same boat. Like if the Cavs don't, like we'll never get anyone in free agency. No one wanted to come when LeBron was there, so no one's going to come without LeBron.
Yeah.
So we need the draft. I like watching some of the young guys, but it's like weird because it's like I much rather watch stress-filled basketball than stress-free basketball and have us win 19 games a year. But,
I feel you there.
I rather have being worrying about LeBron and like getting all these other players and things for a regular season just to run through the East every year. But yeah, basketball, it's just NBA basketball is just the best. You seem like a huge NBA fan, and obviously you really have to enjoy watching it if you're going to be, a Cavs and a Suns fan, because it's not easy. And really, if you're a legit fan of those fan base, of those teams, you're either all in or, you're kind of out.
Yeah, that's why I think it's funny, because like I have the Packers in my bio, because how I became a Packers fan was I was 5 years old. My favorite color was green.
Okay.
I didn't watch any sports before that, and I just saw the Packers on TV, and then like, okay, I'll root for this team. And then I started playing Madden as a kid. I'm like, okay, I like this team. And then I got into other sports. I'm like, okay, I'll just be all Arizona. But yeah, like I remember when the Packers won the Super Bowl, I would get called a bandwagon fan. I'm like, I'm a Suns fan. I'm a Diamondbacks fan. Like I root for the Sun Devils. I'm not out here, front running. It's how it happened. But no, definitely being a Suns fan is not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, I would get so triggered when I came out to school, because my freshman year was the fall after the Cavs won the championship, and I wear my Cleveland gear all the time, and or they'd ask me like, oh, who's your team? I'm like, oh, I'm a Cavs fan. They're like, oh, you're a front runner. I'm like, and I would get triggered, like for no, like, I'm from Ohio, like it's an honest thing to say, right? But I would just get so triggered. I'd be like, listen up, you effing prick. I grew up in Ohio. I would like get in their face and like, whoa, dude, chill. But yeah, no, we're the same way in that regard. And you would appreciate this. So when we would watch all the playoff games, at my house, we have in our garage, we have like a projector, and we would have like every game. It was very superstitious. Like everyone sits in the same spot. Like the snowman was over there. I mean, everyone would just kind of do the same thing. It was very just like, it was like any superstitious thing you've seen. Yeah, it was very much a ritual. It was like, just like times it by infinity. It was like, because God forbid if we didn't, like LeBron would somehow get word and it would just be a bad night.
There was one time I didn't come over. I was watching it, and at halftime, the Cavs, we were playing like shit. And I call him up. Game 7, I call him up. I'm like, all right, I'm on my way over.
No, you just showed up. You did not call us.
I just showed up.
You showed up.
Showed up, and
God bless them. It's what we needed.
They're like, oh, there we go.
That'll be a part of our documentary. That'll be a part of
There you go. There you go.
That documentary. Yep.
Oh my God.
Yep.
So now what about, the D-backs have obviously played a few games. I've watched a few Indians games so far. How are the D-backs looking this year? I know they have Bumgarner. Obviously Goldschmidt's gone. He's been gone for, what is this, his second year gone already?
Yeah.
Okay. So what do the D-backs look like? Because I remember when I was out here, like my end of freshman year when that season started, and sophomore year when the playoffs came around, like obviously the Dodgers were incredible, but they hosted that wild card game out here and it was awesome. Like, when they're good, like people come out for the D-backs and it's exciting, and baseball is really fun. But how are the D-backs looking this year? Because I haven't paid any attention. I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, I mean, they've gotten off to a slow start coming into this season. I thought they had a pretty good chance at the wild card, and it's going to be interesting, obviously, with the 60 games. But I mean, Ketel Marte, he's an MVP candidate. He came in third last year for the award, and it's just, I don't know. I mean, the first few games, it's so hard to tell, baseball especially, just 2 games. But the offense, it feels like Ketel Marte, not a lot else there. But the starting pitching's there. I mean, just if you look at the roster on paper, they should be a wild card team. They're not better than the Dodgers, because the Dodgers are the best team in baseball. But, I mean, I think, I don't know. People are panicking now, but I think the Diamondbacks should be all right.
Yeah. Well, last thing, I know you mentioned, the Suns are like 1 or 2 guys away. Now, we're in on the joke, so know that before I ask this question. Do you think that they need you, since you can beat Frank Kaminsky one-on-one?
Oh, I mean, if I get my knee healthy 100%, like it's put me at point guard. I don't see a lot of people stopping me one-on-one. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Was that just another one of those tongue-in-cheek things, or you like trying, like, since everyone's so content crazy now, and now you have this kind of viral tweet behind you?
No.
Are you like secretly trying to make this happen?
No, I'm not like that. I don't like bait tweets to do that. I mean, I've tweeted that before. It's all for like my followers who think it's funny. Like, I mean, it's obviously a joke. Like, I mean, the worst NBA player would kill any of us just because they're professional basketball players. But like, I mess around. Like, people would quote that tweet. They're like, yeah, they would kill you on 21. I'm like, nah, they can't guard me. And it's kind of like what I did with Booker. Like on the podcast, I told him, like, you want to play the 21? I'm like, oh, he's scared. Like I'm like, you don't want the work. And he's like, I was like, what do you think the score would be if we played the 21? He's just like, no comment. But no, I mean, it's all fun. I appreciate. I mean, like I appreciate like how hard those guys work, and I do have a lot of respect for them. But it's obviously all jokes, and yeah, just
Yeah. Well, you say that now until I flip on the TV and you're like just popping threes in the bubble.
I mean, this just been crazy. I wouldn't count it out.
You never know. You never know. Oh, that's great. Well, Andrew, thanks for taking the time to do this, man. This was fun. So thank you again. And then plug all your stuff, like your music, your podcast and everything, and Twitter, so people can check out, follow the journey, the podcast, listen to all the Devin Booker.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them is the same names. SoundCloud, I'm in Apple Music. I'm on. My name is Andrew Leezus on there. My Twitter's Andrew Leezus. My Twitch is Twitch TV/Andrew Lozoya, which is my real name, my last name, Lozoya. And yeah, people, Instagram is Andrew Leezus, and people hit me up there. And I mean, I reply to every DM that I can and every mention. So it's just, I mean, I just like to talk to people. I like to talk sports, and I just like to have fun with it.
Well, great. Well, thank you, Andrew. Again, this was really fun. Our Cavs are out of it. They're in the sad sap. They're going to be playing the Pistons every day for the rest of the summer.
Hopefully they win the lottery. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, hopefully we win the lottery. But we'll be rooting for the Suns there in the bubble.
I appreciate it.
That's our satellite team.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate it.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Andrew.
Yeah. Thank you.